D-line, homie, get your hands up. Wanna know who the best? Yes, we the answer. Number one ranking, top of the food chain. Better fall back, boy, we hotter than the blue flame. It's your boy O, flow straight psycho. You don't want a problem.
Welcome to the D-Line Show. I'm your host, Black Ice. Reyes.
Oh, I'm body snatcher. Sorry.
And together, we are the D-Line. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined today by the one, the only, the traveler, the man who's been all over the world and done it all, Ricky Reyes.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
On the show,
Thanks
man.
for coming on, bro.
Thanks.
Rick, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, since starting wrestling in 1999, a long time ago, trained by Christopher Daniels in Southern California. Then I moved into the New Japan Dojo. Was trained by Mr. Inoki himself, and then went to Mexico City for 4 months. Trained with Negro Casas there at the arena, and just kind of traveled all over the globe, really wrestling. Puerto Rico for a year and stuff like that. Just numerous tours and trips to Japan, Ring of Honor, PWG, all over.
Now, breaking into the business, there had to be someone who you looked up to and you wanted to, it was someone where we all wanted, it made us want to get in this business. Who was it for you?
I would say, I mean, at first, obviously, we're all Hulkamaniacs and stuff at some point.
Yeah.
And it's, in time, like everything and everyone just kind of evolved, like from there I just, I started amateur wrestling in high school, started appreciating more like, Scott Steiner style wrestling, Bob Backlund, when I'm kind of like, I like watching the older tapes and DVDs and stuff, so I really appreciated like, Backlund's style of wrestling, and then, even the Iron Sheik, even though he was a bad guy,
Right.
I appreciated the fact that he did like a gut wrench, and he was stiff and hard to move and threw guys and
Amateur
stuff.
wrestling move,
Yeah.
basically.
Basically I fell in love with amateur wrestling. I was already a pro wrestling fan, but then I started falling in love with the mixture, watching Scott Steiner versus Ric Flair on WCW Saturday Night one
classics.
time. Yeah, and I
Classics.
thought, wow, what a mixture, a guy that, Scott Steiner, I think it was his second or third year in wrestling, and he was just like tossing Flair every which way, but then Flair would fire back with these chops on this giant, Steiner, and I just thought that the clash in styles that night, I appreciated it so much. And then obviously like Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and my idol Eddie Guerrero, and just kind of like watching Eddie like work like in Japan, like wrestle, and he would just eat those guys up, and then seeing him play like a cowardly heel, on TV in America, and I thought, man, this guy, he can do it all. There's anything that he doesn't know or can't handle. Just learning constantly. So it's kind of why I ventured so far all over the place.
Rick, tell us a little bit about your time in Ring of Honor.
I love my time in Ring of Honor. Brought into a team with Homicide and Low-Key and Rocky and myself, as the Rottweilers, and with Julius Smokes as our mouthpiece, and I thought it was a very hot time for the company. It was like I've said before, it was a time where you would do 2 or 3 events in a weekend, and you would go from being the main event one night to the opening match the next night, and then to the mid-card, popcorn match the third night, because the roster was so stacked. You can just literally shuffle around a list of names and like, oh, okay, Nigel McGuinness versus Samoa Joe will be our opener tonight, and you're like, what? You know what I mean? And then, in the main event, it's going to be, Bryan Danielson and Alex Shelley,
Right.
And in the middle, we're going to fill with, the Rottweilers versus, Ring of Honor, and you're like,
Right.
being in that locker room was just
Just a full card.
yeah, it was just fun, because it didn't matter who you were going to work with that night. It was just like you knew you were going to go out there and have a great match, and the crowds were so hot and wanted it so bad, because then they weren't running as many shows or as many towns. So to get to New York and New Jersey in one weekend meant a lot, because it was a 3 or 4 month span before we were there again.
Right. Now the way we work tight.
Mm-hmm.
Now with you being over New Japan, Japan wrestling is a lot different from American pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Now here, have you ever encountered guys saying that you work too stiff, or, you know, can you lighten up a little bit?
You know, not really.
Okay.
If for whatever reason that is occurring in the ring, it was more than likely an intended hit of some kind.
Right.
But actually, the best compliment I've gotten on my aggressive style was I was wrestling Chris Daniels a few years back in New York, and I remember after the match he came up to me and he told me, he goes, you know, I thought for some reason that I was going to get hurt in there tonight, and we had wrestled before years prior, and I said, really? And I said, why? And he's like, because you know, a few weeks prior to that in Boston, I was watching you, and you looked like you were just killing the guy. And I thought, man, you know, not that I haven't been hit hard before, but I just thought I was in for a long night. And you know, it's a matter of, again, like Bret Hart said it a million times, it's an art form. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's like, if you're going to give that guy that type of deal, you make it in the appropriate area. You know what I mean? And there's nothing. He said it's like a football player, you know, working Sunday night down in the trenches. You get up Monday morning, you can still hit the gym. You're a little, you know, shake it off. But you know, it's the same thing that we do. You know, I think that's why there's a connection with football players and pro wrestlers. Being a pro wrestler, I've never played football, but knowing football players that come into wrestling, the one thing that they appreciate is the physicality and the contact, and then they're capable to get up the next morning and, you know, go to the gym and do what you got to do, or travel, whatever the case may be. You know, it's just, yeah, exactly. So it's very much, I think, that in that aspect, it's you know, we have that common bond with football players, where we can get in there and get nasty and get physical, and then you see guys in the NFL or guys in college shake hands, hug each other, thanks for the game. It's kind of like our game. It's kind of like what we do, basically. You know, we just beat each other up, and then you thank the guy for it, because at the end the fans are happy. So
exactly, and there's money work.
Well, Rick, you've been in this business for quite some time now. I mean, you've traveled all over the world. And now, for the fans who don't know, tell us a little bit about your school, your trainer now. You're on your own pro wrestling school. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. The school that I train is Victory Pro Wrestling in Deer Park, Long Island, New York. And basically, I've been there for a couple years now. And, you know, very, very proud of all the guys. Some of them are here tonight. Another one's debuting next month here. You know, and the guys, they get around as far as, like, all over the. Hey, come on in. It's cool.
No worries.
Yeah.
Come on in. Hey, you might as well come on in now.
Come on in, man. How are you?
That's the smallest camera I've ever seen in my life. I thought you guys were just chit-chatting.
Good.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Keep going.
Pro wrestling, it happens. What do you do?
But you know, we kind of go over everything, you know, and being, you know, I was off and on, you know, doing appearances for WWE. Went down to Tampa, trained with the company and the facilities that they have down there. Kind of I've ventured off and done a lot in different areas. And the one thing that I pride myself on is, like, if I go to Mexico, I want to train in the schools there and learn from the luchadors there the same way I did in Japan, and you know, and I've done in Puerto Rico and stuff. There's different styles everywhere. There's different styles from the East Coast, Northeast, that there is in Tennessee or in Southern California. You know, there's still a little different twist everyone puts theirs into. So, like, something that we do, we've got training Sundays from 4 to about 10 at night. And I try to do, first and foremost, conditioning and technique are my main priorities. Then from there, I kind of break things down accordingly to who's there, what we can and can't do, and what everyone needs to work on. So it's like, you want to work on promos, you want to work on your wind, you know, and then at the end of the day, as long as we're doing everything safely and correctly, and we can balance all that out, then that's how training kind of goes. You know what I mean? So we've done promo classes, we've done, you know, segments where, you know, things that they do in WWE, like when I was in FCW, you know, there was like, you just stand in a room, everybody's watching you, you know, and Dusty stands behind a camera and he's like, okay, baby, yeah, you're wrestling Rey Mysterio tonight on SmackDown. Tell me who you are and why I should tune in, you know, and you're like, okay, you know, and then you go into your promo, sell yourself, sell Ray, sell the match, sell the company, sell the brand. You know what I mean? Sell why you need to stay tuned in.
Right.
You know, and it's an art form, like everything that we do.
Just basically, what you're doing at your school is just giving everyone what they need to be successful in this business. So make sure you listen to what he's saying. And where's your school again?
Deer Park, New York.
New York.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a school, that's the place to go.
Right.
Well, before we wrap this up, Rick, can you just tell the fans where can they follow you on Twitter or Facebook?
Yeah, on Facebook, you know, search Ricky Reyes. On Twitter, at Ricky Reyes01 is my Twitter account, you know, and just keep up with everything and everyone, you know. Just keep supporting pro wrestling in general, you know, whether it's WWE, TNA, or anything that you enjoy watching.
All right, thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you,
We
sir.
really appreciate it.
Thank you,
man.
sir.
We appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.